You got to zero in on your 90% use, which means what are you doing? It doesn't matter what some cool YouTube guy says over there. It doesn't matter what Rex says up here. What are you doing? Hey guys, Rex here. I come in peace. However, I am going to hit you with the blade of reality and truth on this topic. There's a lot of internet trends going around lately in regards to firearms maintenance that I don't think are giving you the full story. We'll put it in a nice guy way. The more straight to the point way of putting it would be there's a lot of trends going around, a lot of discussions going around that are claiming things that are just plain bullshit. So I'm going to explain how this works, okay? Now, I've been in a lot of different contexts in my life, a lot of different environments, and different applications, different use of different equipment of various kinds. Making any kind of dogmatic statement on, like, do you gotta, how do you season your bore? Do you season your bore or don't you? Or do you clean your rifle bore or do you not? Do you lubricate things or do you not? Do you use this lube or that lube? Any dogmatic statement being made on any of those categories is indicative of inexperience in every other category of application of use. I don't know how to put that in a nice term. So there it is. That's the straight truth, man. Like, it depends should be the answer to almost all those kind of questions. Rex, what kind of oil should I use? It depends. Where are you at? What are you doing? What are you lubricating? How do you use it? How don't you ever use it? So one guy tells you absolutely positively got to use this kind of axle grease on this gun at all. That's the only way to do it. If you don't do it, then you're stupid. What if it's literally going to turn into Loctite when it's 50 below? Now that grease ain't going to work very well, right? So you have to identify. There's a lot of different inputs that go into that. Rex, what's my bullet drop? 8 mils. Yeah, 8 mils. It's the right answer for every caliber in a certain exact distance in atmospheric conditions. But it's a bullshit answer. It might get clicks and views, but it's a bullshit answer because it's not identifying what we're talking about. When we talk about different kinds of maintenance schedules or regimens for your different equipment, you have to identify what you're lubricating, what your use is, where you're at, what your environment is, you have to identify all those different things. Otherwise, it's like, there's a reason there's a lot of different lubricants out there. Just for example, so this video is going to be a little bit of a spin-off of one we just did recently. We're talking about pace planning. Pace planning your stuff to buy it now while it's cheap, right? The last one I talked about one of my fortes, which is optics and stuff like that. We talked about different optics options. You can catch an earlier video on that. But this one is going to be about maintenance. Man, you spend a lot of money on your equipment, right? You do. I do, right? To let it just be destroyed by corrosion is crazy, right? Well, you can stop corrosion with a variety of products, but how do you stop it without impeding the action of that weapon in different environments, right? What works in Tennessee is different than what works in North Dakota. What works in North Dakota is different than works in Iraq. It's different. You got different gradients of fine powder that blow around. Like the clay that blows around in this air is different than there. Like the ice, right? And even if you live in Arctic conditions, right? Like there's a lot of guys who are Army guys up in Alaska. There's always a context to it too, right? Like if you're outside all the time, how do you store your weapons? Do you take them in the tent or outside the tent? That context defines how you do your stuff and what you're going to use or whatever, right? And it's all like, if you insist on using this one deal, when it's not appropriate, then you have to adjust all your SOPs around that silly decision. Or if you modulate this appropriately, then they all adjust together. It's like a teeter-totter kind of deal. You have to actually know what's going on to make these recommendations, okay? And if you don't actually know what's going on, I don't understand why people would talk about it. And I'm not trying to be mean, I'm just trying to bring reality to it. Like, you don't need to clean your barrel on your rifle, Rex, a precision barrel. Correct, for a lot of applications in certain environments, that's true. My target rifles, for maximum accuracy applications, in an extremely arid environment, when I select days that are appropriate for filming or match shooting or whatever, right, can absolutely benefit from a minimum disturbance bore, cleaning regime. Like, leave it alone. I don't remove the copper. I think I know what that was, okay? Probably okay. But you don't remove the copper. You don't need to scrub on stuff in this particular environment for that particular application. Now, I will tell you that story changes dramatically even in my environment. If I'm hunting and I'm going inside and outside the house, where the rifle is super cold and it goes inside and it gets really wet and they go back outside, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's condensation that occurs and now it's wet. And even if I let it totally dry off during the night, it's soaked. It's like I might as well have thrown it in the river. Well, now, if you got chrome molybdenum steel, you might have to actually clean your bore between outings, even if you don't shoot, right? Or depending on the situation. There's a million different applications. So with that in mind, right, because that's the thing, well, if we're supposed to be trying to get pace planning options for maintaining our systems, what's the best way to go, Rex? And my answer is it still depends. But here's how I roll. I don't know any other better way to explain it than to just kind of give you an example of the diversity of different lubricants I keep on hand for my stuff, for all my different tools, for what I do in my environment, which is in between 110 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer, which today is pretty hot. I don't know if you notice how sweaty I am. And it gets down well below 50 below sometimes in the winter. And it can rain, it can snow, whatever, right? Down here in Texas, it's whatever. In North Dakota is the same deal, right? So I'll show you what I got here. Okay, you ready? So people were asking this on the last video I posted about optics. What do you mean by lubricants? So I got my shelf here. Let me see if this is showing up. Okay, I got all kinds of stuff, right? I use Otis sometimes, right? You got different kinds of lube there. Non-dust attracting dry lubricant. That's handy for certain environments. This is growing on me because it's very it says it right on there. Multi-purpose Ballistol. And it's also kind of safe. It says eco-friendly on here, right? I had cancer already. I don't need it twice, so that's a plus. So I like Ballistol for that application. I know guys that are very well-rounded and very well experienced that say this is a great choice for a variety of things, but nothing is the end-all, do-all, guys. Okay, what's this? Rock set. Yeah, use that on your bolt or whatever. That's a good idea. Okay, what do we got here? This one I was testing. I don't have a big opinion on that yet. The Vulture stuff. This breakthrough works pretty good. Sometimes the specialty of a certain lubricant or product might be based on how it's applied. So in this case, I can spritz it onto different stuff. And it's a lens cleaner, right? So that's good for that. This stuff is awesome for really cleaning stuff down to the bone. It says Modern Spartan Systems, nothing left, they call it, because it leaves nothing left. It's very, very good at cleaning. When you do your final clean, like before you're about to treat something, sometimes when you're working with metals, you want them to be highly lubricated with zero maintenance. So you'll actually do an oil bath in certain tools, or with certain tools, And you'll heat up the tools and the oil real hot so that all the little stuff gets into the pores. It's like seasoning a pan, and then it's naturally lubricated. A lot of mil-spec weapons are done that way, like the old Colt rifles, the military ones. Very smooth bolt. I remember in the Army, we had the M16A2, and I was like, because I had stuff when I was a kid, ARs, but the rifle that we were issued was like really smooth. I was like, is this thing just wore out? Which it was. But a big part of that, they treat them differently. So that's part of the pre-process there. Yes, I use a lot of hops, or what is this, outers, gun oil. I use a lot of hops number 9 for bore cleaning. Scheist. I've used half a bottle of this stuff so far. Military grade solvent. For certain applications or certain spots where you want to get the oil into everything, all the nooks and crannies, so you can spray it. There's different ways to apply it. That's an application deal. We got breakthrough stuff here. Military grade solvent. They got to advertise it all cool, right? High purity oil. That stuff, it all works good. Chemistry is kind of basic. CLP, I use a lot of that. So when I say paste planning, get a lot of, whatever you're using, I don't just use one thing for everything, right? CLP, I got a lot of that. And this is just one of my shelves. I've got most of it like tucked away at the other place, actually. Here's a larger can of Bellastol. I got this in all the toolboxes and all the different cars. I got grease, right? In certain environments where it's really hot, multi-duty complex axle grease doesn't drip off. And if you're clean enough to where this is good, or there's certain environments where you got real corrosive stuff that'll wash it away. Sometimes the grease works good, right? WD-40, really good for some stuff. It's a penetrant, right? Really good for some stuff, really not good for other things. Well, what, Rex? Well, it depends on what you're doing, man, right? Got this, all kinds of stuff, right, guys? We got here. Sometimes you can get them in kits that are very well rounded, like, okay, this is just something I made here. Gun grease, got lithium grease for my silencers, some other stuff like that. So here's like an example of a starter kit that works good. These guys actually make pretty good stuff. The accuracy oil is what I'd probably use the most of. I'd get a big jug of that if I were you. That's good stuff. They can use that for like treating your bore, or you can use it for soaking your parts, and it works really good there. Carbon destroyers to I think, and most of the stuff made by these guys, I can do a separate review on that sometime. Very well respected in the industry, and when I say the industry, I mean machine shops, the Navy, like the U.S. Navy. A lot of this was developed for I think one of these oils was developed for the GAU 8 cannon, the 30 millimeter cannon on the A10. So really high-tech stuff. It's not like Walmart cheap, but it works very good. So I got a few extras of these. So if I'm paste planning, I grab a few starter kits there, because there's a lot of different stuff in here that covers a lot of bases. And then I got the breakthrough, right? Cleaning kit. That's this is part of paste. This stuff is not even used. That's brand new. In this green box here, I've got some ridiculous stuff going on in this green box. Like, if you saw my gun cleaning tools, you'd be like, looks like something a freaking plumber would have that's just destroyed and gnarly and terrible looking. Doesn't look very clean at all, right? But yeah, there's a lot of different stuff. Brasso for certain stuff. It depends on what you're using, guys. So the main giant thing to take away from this is there's certain oils that I think are really good for different applications. But you got to identify your use. And then you got to zero in on your 90% use, which means what are you doing? It doesn't matter what some cool YouTube guy says over there. It doesn't matter what Rex says up here. What are you doing? Then you have to study what works best. And the only way to know is to do it, to do a trial, right? And you got to do a test run. They call an experiment. Does this work in your actual conditions, in your actual weapon? Where can you look that up online? You have to buy the stuff and then use it and then write it down in a notebook if it worked or not. Keep track. Like, that's the reality is king. Reality will trump what some dude says in a YouTube video all day long. So when it comes to lubricants, I like to be well-rounded. I keep thick greases. I keep generic oils. I keep environmentally friendly stuff so that when my more high-use weapons, like, I don't have to swim in this toxic crap all the time, so that's nice, right? Some of those are like, I think the Spartan stuff, the modern Spartan whatever systems are pretty safe too, for the most part, but some of them are nasty, and some of them are downright lethal, dangerous. There's concoctions you can make, by the way. Be careful. If it removes lead and copper like that, it mobilizes it in whatever the solvent is. When it's mobilized that much, it's also able to be mobile into your body. And if you're touching it, which I've done a lot of over the year, trust me, like, I mean, there was times in my life where I just totally, for months, and actually a couple of years, couldn't get the smell of Citrusolve out of me. Every time I'd ride a bicycle or sweat, I was just like, man, I smell like diesel. I smell like invert and Citrusolve because it gets into your body. So be careful. Pick environmentally friendly stuff is what I'd recommend, just to not die. There's a lot of different oils. I mean, I've used motor oil. I've used like stuff from the automotive industry. I suppose some of you are going to ask exactly what a guy would recommend as a starting point. I don't know. Ballistol is extremely safe. That's a good bet. That modern Spartan system stuff is extremely safe. And it's also, it works really good for, but they have it piecemealed out in different deals. It's actually kind of nice to have very specific lubricants or penetrants or cleaners for different applications. Because like when you're cleaning the stuff off, it needs to come off. And then when you're lubricating it, it needs to be lubricated, right? Another thing too is like for long-term, I'm all about like working less, right? Like if I can put a sheep in my yard, which is like my plan, right? Or a goat, to where I have to mow the lawn never again. That's a good plan. Like I don't want to have to work more than I have to, right? Because it's all about efficiency, right? And so when you're talking lubrication, there are certain things you can do if you're smart, or if you're well-trained, or if someone told you, right? Which is what we're here doing. You can treat that stuff. So you can take your gun parts, get some motor oil. Some of the synthetic motor oil works pretty good for that. There's like Slick 50 and all these different things, you know, pick your brand, whatever. And you can do a bath in a lot of your internal parts that have to move and slide past each other. And if you get it cleaned down really good first, and then put them in a bath and then heat it up for like a long time. Like if you got one of those stoves in your garage, that's kind of handy for that, because then you don't, the wife doesn't get mad because you like contaminated the lasagna with all your gun parts and stuff, right? But you can put the stuff in a stove and get it up to a certain temperature. You want the steel, the pores to open up. And then most good oils have stuff that penetrates into those pores. Like some of the stuff is incredible. Like what do they call it? Accuracy oil actually works pretty good for a lot of, that's what it's really good for. Does it make your gun more accurate? You are the guy that makes the gun accurate. If you can't shoot, it doesn't matter. And I guarantee you there ain't nobody that I know that in 4 different positions can shoot better by using this. They're not even going to, the noise of our lack of marksmanship is going to way overshoot any kind of advantage competitively of these oils, unless you're doing F-class or something where you're static at a bench, but that's not real life stuff, right? So if you're doing that, then there's specific stuff for that, right? That's a very, very fixed position. It's a very, very well-defined environment too, right? Flat range environment. Absolutely. F-class is a flat range environment. It's different. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's different. You can use very specific deals for those applications and notice differences. But for like most of us, I think, are using our tools in the bush in real life, and you want to know how to make it less maintenance. I think oil baths are smart because you can soak your stuff. Some of my stuff that doesn't work, I've done that too. Like I've had some fussy ARs like 20 years ago that just like, man, they're just fussy. It's because the finish on them was terrible. And so I oil bathed them, and I did some other stuff, slippery them up a little bit, make them slippery. And man, they run like a top now. I mean, that really helped. And then you clean way less because it's like a Teflon coated deal. It's not Teflon, it's oil like impregnated, right? And so stuff doesn't stick. So when you go to wipe off the bolt, guys do fancy finishes for that too, like the nickel coating. But there's problems then when you get it in with metallurgy of some of the nickel boron and stuff like that. There is galling from dissimilar metals and different conditions, and different kind of like salt water can do crazy stuff. Talk to a Merops guy and ask them, what do you use for saltwater ops? And they will tell you what not to use. Like, never heard of that before. Never heard that could be a problem. They use mil-spec gun parts. They don't use fancy metal coatings. They'll lubricate it a certain way. So there's a lot of experience there for you guys to learn. But if you're starting someplace, I would use stuff that's safe, okay? So like the modern Spartan system stuff is pretty safe. The Ballistol is safe. I think there's a lot of stuff on that counter that's pretty safe. But some of those are like engineered actually for that specific job. Like the Accuracy oil is really good for that. We can do a different review on that sometime if you guys are interested in it. But I keep a huge diversity of different equipment in on my shelf, and that's just the shelf in the garage, okay? That's not like my range box. That's not like what I keep in my range bag in the car. I've got all that same stuff everywhere, right? And more stuff too, but this is the garage. So I've got stuff in the armory or whatever, right? Like a diversity of stuff because there's different problems that happen. In a lot of my different tools that I use, I deploy in different contexts and different situations, right? One tool requires a little bit different stuff in a different way, right? Like if I got it inside the waistband like Glock, then being 60 below ain't gonna happen to it because it's on my body. And I am what they call the human furnace, especially if I keep my calorie intake up enough, right? So stuff like that. You have to always consider the context. And so I'm not trying to talk smack against the videos that are saying like, oh, here's the answer, people. You don't need to clean your bore, actually, because a competition guy didn't need to. If you're in a jungle, you have to clean your bore, period. If you want to maintain any kind of accuracy. Because if you don't, it's going to rust. If you're on the freaking beach, if you're like in the Pacific Northwest, or if you're like, I've swam in the ocean with Glocks. You know what I mean? Like, you got to clean it different than, it's just a fact. I mean, like, it's a Glock. Like, better clean it, man. Like, swim in the ocean with your Glock a bunch and then don't clean it. Or swimming pools. I've swam in swimming pools with Glocks too. Yeah, I wear a Glock in the swimming pool, man. I do. Like, you got to use the right ammo then too, because that shit will not work if it's not sealed properly, right? Like, why are you wearing a Glock in the swimming pool? What do you think? Danger's just, we're not going to do horrific stuff when Rex is around because he's in the pool. He does not next to his gun. It's back in the room. I'm like, no, dude. Like, if I'm in the swimming pool, I still have my Glock on me, right? I can show it to you. Then I go have to wash it off because chlorine is also corrosive in a different way. True stories, man. Fun times. I don't know if this is interesting. If you're curious in exactly exactly what I'm using or whatever, if you want a shortcut, that's cool. I get it. If you want a shortcut to a certain deal, or if you want to see more information on any of the stuff I'm talking about, let me know in the comments and I'll post more videos or whatever, or post links or whatever you guys need. I'm always here to assist. It's all about love, man. All right, you guys have a good one. I'm going to get back to work. I'm not done yet. All right, Rex up.
Nice. I've never taken a long-range class before, but I can't imagine anybody delivering this much information in this short of a period.
Yeah, it takes a while. After you've been around a while, you kind of accumulate most of this information. Some of it falls by the wayside. Some of it you retain. At least you know it's there, and if you need to use it, you can pull on it.
You cannot miss an opportunity to gain knowledge. You cannot. The guys that are going to talk here, there must be 250 years of experience wandering around in the people that you're going to be exposed to. And I'm talking like hard-earned experience.
Rex is, of course, an absolute natural. He showed us over the years that, so I wasn't surprised to see him perform beautifully because he was born for it. He is naturally an awesome presenter. So whether he does it through YouTube, on video camera, or live. And by the way, congratulations. This is beyond the full house. I really think some people snuck up on you, man. You got to double check on who paid and who didn't, because I see more than 80 people here. I see north of 100 people.
If you have not been studying long range for quite some time, I'm not saying not to come to this class. I'm saying you better put your helmet on. It's gonna go fast. You can't get information like this is gonna happen in this class. You can't get that like anywhere.
He's already well known, and he'll get better and better and better.
But you're right. We have a very strong concentration of people with this much interest and passion. You know, in this one room, everybody's here looking for the best and trying to be the best. And I love it.
And that's the secret to success, too, guys, is surrounding yourself with competent, intelligent, and passionate people.
Yeah.
And you see that a lot in this room, because everybody that gathers together here is because of a love for the sport or the craft and the skill and the art and the science. And you, Mr. Rex, you're kicking some butt up there today, man. You're in the zone.
I'm getting sweatier and sweatier, Lou. Waiting until 4 hours from now.
You know, I'm a little scared to get up there. I mean, Rex is such a great speaker in this forum, and I'm thinking, oh man, I'm going to bore these guys to death. But I can tell you one thing I like about these type of forums: when you get guys that admit to being interested in long-range shooting, you're past the guy who swears he can shoot a quarter-inch group with his factory Savage with factory ammo. So these guys, they're not at that point. They've gone past that. They're really serious now, and they really know a lot of this stuff. It's more about how much further can I push my
This is where they've come with
capabilities with more knowledge and more practice and more information.
We'll have a good time. The students will have a good time. You're going to get a tremendous level of information, and there are different levels of knowledge. And when I met Rex, he was really the first guy that I had met that had that kind of tier 1 level of knowledge.
This won't be the last time that you guys do this. This is the best thing that I have seen or been associated with thus far in this industry. This is really good. I think that the guys have learned a lot about this on relative to the topics and how to handle it at the next one that they do. I expect that the next one will be better and better and better, and I think that the guys that go to it are going to benefit and learn a lot.
But you're going to see some amazing things. When this company, as he builds this company and this curriculum, and it goes, I'm telling you, it's going to be a bookmark in American firearms training history. Like something is different over there, what's going on, and people will come from all over.
Hey folks, it's Lou McCoy with the Rex Reviews Project, and we are here in Texas. Holy crap, man.
Yeah.
This has been a lot of fun. I'm here with Jesse and his lovely wife, and what do you guys have to say after the second day?
So we get out here, the first thing we did was check out all of our guns and equipment. We want that solid. We learn the fundamentals, make sure that everybody is doing things like correctly and properly, and that way when we start shooting out the longer distances, we don't we don't have to wonder what's all going on out there, And I think that's really cool, because you feel a lot more confident knowing that you're solid, you got a solid foundation when you start engaging things way out there. So
And you
I think that's
off,
great.
Yeah, man. And you start off really close, and you get all the bugs worked out, and then you work out farther, and it's no big deal. It's easy.
Yeah,
it's easy. So the system works, Mr. Rex. It works, my man.
Just this experience was probably the best shooting experience I've ever had. It was the most I've ever learned, ever. So just getting to shoot out to 1,000, 1,100 yards, and these guys get you out there quick and do it the right way.
Feels like, but I think it's rolling down off the snow. Right.
Now what?
Nah. That's still barely a 2.
Single.
Oh yeah? It's hot air. Nothing.
Yeah, reticle choice and design, I've really learned to, like, that's really important. You know, we always focus on all the other stuff, you know, but reticle design, you know, is very critical.
If you pay attention to those classes and watch those reviews, it'll all come together for you, and this is the place where it all comes together.
Yeah, and you get out in the field and you get to apply all that knowledge and see it in action, and that's gratifying.
Absolutely, and it's the real world issues that that you're really learning here, as opposed to just you get all that technical data, and then you bring it out here to the real world and you put it all together and it works.
The secret Rex taught me about butterfly kisses on the cheek. And
It's actually true?
It was true.
Did it work?
It totally worked.
What?
It totally was. It happened earlier today, and all day I've been just on.
Like I just said a minute ago, yesterday everybody showed up. They were nervous. They didn't know what to expect. And look at the crowd behind us now. It's like a party back there, man. People are just having the time of their lives, and not only having a good time, but making some shots too. Some impressive ones.
They're learning what they come out here with. The dot drills, a lot of the drills that Rex and Paul are having us do, they really make you, get you into shape and make you, do exactly what you did the last time and be consecutive, So I think that's a just super way to start to do this stuff. So.
Yeah, it is. And you lay that solid foundation, and the rest is easy, man.
Yeah, we're just now it's not even really hard to shoot out there. We're shooting out at 1,100 yards, and really not that big a deal now after we, now that we know what to do.
All right, what just happened, man?
I just hit a water bottle at 875 yards.
And you had one shot.
One shot.
That's not bad. So what's the secret, man?
Aim small, miss small.
Amen. Well done, brother.
Thank you.
As long as you pay attention and do what the instructors say, it will all come together as an equation, and the equal sign pops right up.
Name's Edwin from Boston. Traveled out here to Pennsylvania to take the class to shoot past my home range of 600. Shot out to 1030, made some hits. Every time Rex teaches you something new and gets you comfortable, he totally messes with you. Gets you dirty, gets you muddy, makes you roll around in the rain and the mud and the dust. And then he takes your scope and he messes it all up, and he teaches us something new every time. So great time, good guys.
Nice shooting there, Tex.
Thanks, man. Second round hit on the gong and first round hit on Fred. 1,000-yard shot. That was pretty awesome.
Feels good for first stage of the day, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. I wasn't shooting very good yesterday, but it's good to come back.
Haven't shot past 400 yards until I came to RX-18. Right off the bat, brought us right out to 1,000 yards, gave us some confidence. And after working the range tables, I see no reason why I couldn't hit any target that I knew the true range to and had the dope for, all the way out to and including 1,000 yards.
You're exposing, all the different students, including myself, to some different techniques, pulling from different arenas, whether it be from some application of competition, PRS, NRL kind of things. When we can't always take a prone shot, shooting off of obstacles, from unstable positions.
I came to the RX just to learn everything. It's a great place to be, great people. Learned quite a bit. Got me dialed in at ranges I've never even looked at before.
I've been to RX 17-001 seminar and 001 shooting, and so I have some familiarity, but this is just a lot better. This is what I really enjoy. The instruction is again top notch. We learn any problems we have, we immediately have someone to diagnose the problem. It's because it's so relaxed, the environment, you're constantly learning and you don't even really realize it. I think it's just been an awesome experience, and the knowledge is unbelievable.
Hey, my name's Mitch. I just over here at the Rex Live Fire event. Learned a hell of a lot. I got my rifle zero for 100 yards yesterday, and within a few hours I was hitting 1,030 yards. And I never shot past 300 yards in my life. So it's definitely worth the money, definitely worth the trip, the hassle, everything about it's been great. Rex has been great, the crew's been great.
Oh, this has been terrific from my standpoint. We've seen things that we never expected to see. Let me see, we've got one guy, first time ever, at over a mile or whatever, and he's hitting 25, 80.
I think everyone got to a mile, didn't they?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, everyone got to a mile in the whole class
and,
relatively easily.
It's really been surprising, and that just shows how the equipment, and it shows how the shooters have progressed learning and with the instruction and all. These guys have had good instruction, and they've just got the job done.
And how far were you shooting?
It was 1 mile.
1 mile, and what were you using here?
300 Win Mag.
300 Win Mag.
But probably not. Watch out, Rex. Rex.
So you just hit the 2,500 yards. Like, what's your solution?
It was 116 and a half MOA elevation and 14 MOA windage.
And you had 4 shots.
Yes, sir.
You got in your team?
I had 6, so 10 total to hit 2551.
So tell me the story. How'd you finally spot where you're hitting?
I saw the trace. I saw his trace, and I called it good, but he was about 6 inches off the top right corner of the plate. He made a minor correction, bottom left edge of the plate, and I saw the top of the bullet, but I lost it, but it was an impact. So awesome shot.